Guten Morgen, party people. Today is the big day. Music freaking Midtown. So I hopped right out of bed, got ready for the day as quickly as I could, and met my bae Maggie downstairs to chow down some much needed breakfast. On the menu was some double chocolate chip muffins and strawberries, and let me tell you, I devoured every single bite. After all, I had to carve up for the big day. So while Maggie was scrolling through her Instagram, I caught up on some college game day, guy stuff. After our much needed breakfast, we went upstairs and went to change. I was wearing a button-down shirt that day, and Maggie came into the room showing what she was wearing. We were both festival ready and looking good, and she made sure I saw her eye makeup. Electric was in the air for us, and Maggie and I were practicing our dance moves till her sister Katie had to make an appearance. She was also gonna go, but she's going separate because she's much cooler than us. And without further hesitation, this one's a gimme. You guys should know this. I'm a sweaty pit boy, so I had to throw this in last second. Finally, after all that getting ready, we were set to head out the door. I met my wristband that had to stay on me all weekend, and I was feeling pretty hipster about it, not gonna lie. And off we went to our first music festival ever. The plan to get there involved MARTA. And I didn't want to tell my parents and scare them, so if you're watching, Mom and Dad, we survived.
We are in the car. The plan is that we go to the MARTA station to take a train to the music festival. There she is.
Let's do this!
Let's do this!
And yeah, we were actually doing it. We hit the road flexing our new wristbands, and I was pretty hyped to actually see if MARTA was like a thing. And if you thought we were going straight to park at the station, well, you were wrong. We made a lunch stop at the one and only Shake Shack, and it was only my second time there. Why haven't I been there more, you may ask? Well, good question. I ordered my food under the name Roger to annoy Maggie.
That's not my name.
And at last, our scrumptious burgers have arrived. I'm just going to go ahead and give this video a moment of silence for the burgers we ate that day. The video speaks for itself. Now that we paid our respects, we arrived at the MARTA station. It might as well be time to face my demons. But before any of that, our pale selves needed sunscreen, so we sprayed it up. Now remember, this is my first time ever on MARTA, so I was feeling excited but also expecting an almost certain death upon entering. But this video is about a lot of firsts, so in we went. And right off the bat, we were a little sketched out.
This is sketchy.
We were the only people in there. Like, okay, when is the murder gonna come out? Is the train actually gonna come? Is this the apocalypse? Our high spirits kept us going, and we danced around the station to keep ourselves company. Eventually, other festival goers showed up, and we saw that the trains are indeed running. The next test was the ride over to Midtown. We hopped on our train, and we were relieved to be going the right direction. After about a 15-minute ride on the Martation, we arrived in Midtown, the middle of town. Our plan was working. We were following the herd of high schoolers in their vape clouds.
Down there and then to the left.
Why is that face for?
Nothing, it's just an experience. And a half.
And it sure was. We were like fish out of water, but this was just the beginning. We ventured across some roads with flair and got through security, and we made it. You heard me right. We were in. We were taking it all in. With all the excitement, we couldn't help but to walk around, see the stages, and quite honestly have the best people watching experience of all time. With all the excitement, your boy had to peeps. So we gave the old bathrooms a try, and well,
That was not fun.
I really like how Maggie summed it up. It was time for our first concert. The band was Hembry, and they're like alternative and rock, basically my taste. I knew a whopping 5 songs, and I convinced Maggie to come along. We were bopping along and having a good time. I get pretty pumped when they played a song I knew. I honestly didn't know much about the band Hembry, but after watching that concert, I'm pretty much a fan now. I really like their vibe, they're pretty funny too. Yeah, 10 out of 10. It was a hot day, probably not surprising. I could start feeling the heat, and I already saw it capturing some victims. But it didn't stop this dude. We called him Lone Wolf, and he did his own dance number for the entire set. Nothing but respect for this man. Then I looked over to Maggie, and she seemed pretty distraught over something.
I just can't. These hipsters are the worst.
I think it's fun! We're one of them! Woo!
She was right. This was like a social experiment. After the Hembry concert, we fell victims of marketing and wandered to all the tents, including this magnificent discovery, aka the Mountain Dew tent. It was kinda air conditioned, and they gave us free Mountain Dew as we lounged and watched the live stream. No complaints there, am I right? So we sat in there for a little bit and escaped the sun as much as we could, until we felt like we were hogging one of the spots, so we might as well move along. Our next stop was this chill zone. It looked really cool from the outside, so we had to check it out.
This is the chill zone. Chill zone.
It's not what I signed up for.
Yeah, it was basically a shipping container. We didn't last too long in there. We were making it through the day though, but side note, I must say, by this point I'd seen way too many butt cracks and other junk exposed. Like I previously mentioned, it was people watching galore. Next on our itinerary is to go see Lord Huron. That's hard to say. Anyways, we ventured over to that stage and set up camp pretty far out so we could sit and enjoy it without being packed in. This is one of those bands you like and know their songs without really knowing it. Nonetheless, we're really looking forward to hearing them live. The concert itself was really good, I'll give it to him. But this guy right here stole the show. He managed to use his bottle as a pillow, and I'll give props to him for creativity points. Wait. Someone even better stole the show. You guys won't believe me when I say this, but the Adam Sandler was sitting right behind us. Every time I turned around, I got that heart drop feeling when you're shook because I could have sworn it was him. For all we knew, it could have been him undercover. After the Lord of the Huronians finished, Maggie wanted to go to the store to get a Lizzo shirt. Lizzo is Maggie's favorite and the reason she wanted to come to Music Midtown in the first place. We were going to see her in a little bit, but she did not hesitate to throw on that shirt over the bag and everything. Just like that, another Lizzo stan was born. Next stop was, you guessed it, food. After being a stereotypical indecisive couple, we finally got our food. I put my wager on the tenders and taters and we sat down to eat it. And yeah, this was $15. We inhaled the nutrients because right after we were going to see the Lizzo concert. Doesn't it look like she's over me at this point? Anyways, afterwards we went over to the stage where the one and only Lizzo would perform. Maggie was shaking with excitement, ready to see her idol, and I was excited myself. I had to throw down some Pedialyte down my pipe so I could make it through this one. It was still a scorcher. We were glad we got there when we did because it was a crowd as far as the eye could see. The crowd was so big that this man wanted to get a bird's eye view of the situation. Once the sun set, the show began and the crowd went nuts, including us. We were all about 50% that bitch when the show started, but let me tell you, after that pilgrimage, we were all 100% that bitch. It was an entertaining show to say the least. I mean, the crowd got to see Lizzo's entire butt crack. Lizzo played all the bangers that empower women and stuff, and don't tell the bros, but it was a good time. My personal favorite part would be in the middle of a song and all of a sudden someone throws her a flute backstage and she just busts out some flute, and it was pretty hilarious. The whole thing was just entertainment at its best. Our final stop of the day was the Panic at the Disco concert. After Lizzo, we went straight there to wait it out.
Maggie, look how big the moon is.
I honestly thought that was the... For a second, I really did.
That's not the moon. Hydration is key.
We stretched our legs and got the juices flowing for this one. Some of our fellow festival goers caught the memo. This is visual proof that music brings you together, ladies and gentlemen. After some dancing shenanigans, the countdown was on, and it felt just like New Year's Eve. And boom, the panic begun. Maggie knew every single song, and I knew about 5. Yeah, I know I should probably know more. Panic at the Disco is really good and entertaining, and that Brendan Urie guy had quite the voice. He sang like how a normal guy sings, but then all of a sudden he'll go up 12 octaves in a girl's voice. I thought that was hilarious, yet, impressive. Our day one experience of Music Midtown was ending with a bang. Get it? Because the fireworks. And it was overall a great time. We had our moments though, like the butt cracks and the weed smell everywhere. But Maggie and I felt cool to be a part of this. We had another whole day coming tomorrow. We obviously left and hopped on a crowded MARTA train home and called it a night. Good night. Bienvenidos at day 2. I woke up to see Maggie doing homework. LOL, nerd. I'm gonna cut to the chase today. We hit the road nice and early. Since we had school the next day, we decided to drive down to the airport and park there and take MARTA back up to Midtown to save time later that night. About 5 minutes into the drive, we stopped to grab some lunch at Wendy's. The drive over was fairly uneventful. I basically annoyed Maggie the entire drive and tried to entertain myself. Day 2 of Music Midtown consisted of all of my favorite bands, including Local Natives and Vampire Weekend. I had those playing in the car as we were airport bound to brush up on some lyrics. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a pilot, so as we got closer and closer to the airport, I started to geek out.
That's like a 777. Yes. Yes.
Which one?
Left. No way.
That was the brand new A330neo. Nobody probably cares, Harry. We parked, took a peeps break in the airport, found the MARTA station, and hopped on the right train, I think. It was not the right train! We were lost! We got off at a random station, the Underground Atlanta one. My parents are gonna kill me for this one, but we did get on a different train and survived.
What is going on?
If you're scared, raise your hand.
We made it out of Atlantis Dungeon, and a bunch of other music festival teens were there, so it really wasn't that bad. And boom, we're back in Midtown, ready for some more music. Maggie and I got plenty of sleep, and we were both excited for what the new day would bring. Walking back to the festival the second time around, we felt like experienced professionals. After all, this wasn't our first rodeo, it was our second. They actually let us back in, and I forced Maggie to do this shot. I mean, if you're at a music festival, you have to do this. We wandered around for a bit and got settled in for our first concert of the day.
I feel like every shot's me panning too. We gotta change it sometimes.
You just want more attention.
She was right. This first concert was my pick, Dominic Fike. He's like an alternative boy, and I've been wanting to see him. For all of you uncultured fellas, he's the guy who sings that 3 Night song. I was pretty anxious this whole concert because I was pumped to see him live, but Local Natives, my favorite band, was on right after at a different stage, so we had to leave early to get there early. We initially were standing around at the wrong concert stage because it was some rapper, but we quickly realized that the Local Native stage was right next to that. We made it. I wanted to get pretty close this time around, because, you know, I'm a big fan. I was excited to introduce Maggie to this favorite band of mine in hopes we could bond over their music one day. After some final moments of preparing myself for this experience, Local Natives walked out and the crowd, mostly me, went wild. They're so cool, let me tell you. If I wanted to be in a band, this is the one I'd want to be in. Clearly, based on this video, I know every word to every song, and I was probably freaking Maggie out. These guys are just so talented though, and it's just nice seeing they still got it. I actually overheard a conversation going on before they started playing, and a guy was telling his friend that they were good and their music is chill. But this concert was anything but chill. They went hard and turned this into a rock show. I enjoyed the heck out of it, and I think Maggie did too.
What'd you think of Local Natives?
I thought they were very talented, and I really liked them. And Harry cried.
I did not cry. After that show, Maggie was on the phone, I guess, and I was enjoying Walk the Moon from a distance. They played Anna Sun, and we jammed all the way from out there. After that, we met up with Maggie's sister, Katie.
If I'm not in your YouTube video, I'm suing you.
Now that I gave her the cameo she wanted, we went to get some food to put in our bellies. We were both craving tacos pretty hardcore. Once we got our 3 tacos, we walked around to find a spot to eat. We noticed there was like nobody walking around, and then we noticed Billie Eilish was performing.
Unimpressed.
Maggie's not really a fan of her, and seeing all those people around her looked like when SpongeBob was selling pretty patties. Next, we devoured our tacos with Leon Bridges singing in the distance, and that was honestly a highlight of the day for me. We were eating good and feeling zen. I wanted to see the band Cold War Kids next, so we headed over there and got loose for that concert. The tacos were feeling heavenly, and I think the marinara smell everywhere was starting to get in our systems. The crowd started to fill up, and I quickly realized that this band was not what I expected them to look like. I guess when I hear the word kids, I imagine younger guys, but maybe these dudes were kids during the Cold War? Like Cold War kids? I don't know. Nonetheless, I'm a fan of their music too, and knew about half the songs they were playing. It was fun listening to some harder rock here and there, and I think Maggie was enjoying it too. We rocked it out. Our final show of the entire weekend was upon us. The one I may have been looking forward to most, Vampire Weekend. On the weekend, all of the high school teens went to Travis Scott, so that freed up some space for this show. We were both exhilarated for this musical journey, but you could tell some people were really ramping up the smoky of marinara for this one. It smelled like cheek. The show started with a bang, and Vampire Weekend was a big group, and they had some big sound. I've grown up listening to their songs, so to hear them live with Maggie was epic. They were so good. The concert felt like a hippie gathering, and there wasn't really a pit. It was just a bunch of people jumping and dancing around in circles. Completely my vibe. All good things must come to an end, and the weekend of Tunage was closing out. It was bittersweet, to be honest. We had one last jam of Vampire Weekend, and that was it. Music Midtown was over. We survived.
That's it. It's over.
That's it.
We followed the herd towards the exit, and now that the adrenaline was suddenly gone, we felt wiped out. We walked for what seemed ages through the city and back towards the MARTA station, and then, we finally arrived. We then waited for our luxurious MARTA train to arrive and take us back to the airport, and it eventually did. Mission complete, ladies and gentlemen. We did it. Overall, this was a great weekend. Maggie and I made some quality memories we probably won't forget. There were lots of characters we saw along the way, such as Lone Wolf, that we will dearly miss. There were also copious amounts of butt crack, boobs, and weed that we won't really miss. The music was top notch, and the location was in the middle of town, so I will give props to the people who run Music Midtown. It's exactly what they advertise. And if you stuck around this far into the video, seriously thank you. I hope you enjoyed watching our experience and got a few chuckles at it. If you want, feel free to subscribe. It might encourage me to make better videos. Now, that's all I got for you guys, so sweet dreams and good night.